Welcome to my workshop. You are watching Casual DIY channel, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you effects you can achieve with 3 different types of brushes that you can get for a burnishing machine. Now this one is from Lidl and it was relatively cheap. I've bought it online. Now I do have a full video on this tool if you want to check it out. I'm going to leave a link to it down below in the description of this video. I think this tool is absolutely perfect to give your projects and the timber you're going to be using for your projects this really special rustic, aged, weathered look. And it actually does work quite well and relatively quick as well. You can achieve different types of effects by using different types of brushes, and there's quite a few of them. The main 2 brushes that you're going to be using most of the times is a copper brush and a nylon brush. Okay, now where it comes to the copper one, that's very hard, very abrasive, and it's best to be used on hardwoods that are, well, harder than softwoods and require a bit more force. However, using a copper brush like this or a metal brush will mean that the surface of the wood, yeah, you're gonna have a nice structure to it, but it will be very coarse to the touch. So then actually you have to come back with a nylon brush to sort that out, or use a sanding pads, soft ones, so you don't actually take away the patterns that were created in the first place by the brush itself. The nylon brush actually does come in different grits. For example, I've got grit 80. However, if you really want to invest in this process, I would suggest buy different grits as well, higher grits as well. 80, that's quite coarse. I would suggest buying 120 and 200 as well. Now, using this, it's absolutely perfect for some softer woods, like pine for example. It will still remove some material from hardwoods, but definitely not as much as the copper brush. That's why you can actually use the nylon brush after using the copper brush on hardwoods to ease out the surface without having too much time spent on sanding it with a sanding block. Now the third brush I do have is this one. Basically, they are strips of sandpaper, grit 80. I've bought that to quickly remove a lot of material from wood if I've got some sort of a finish on it. I'm going to show you how this one works as well. However, the first thing I want to try out is those 2 brushes, and we'll see what type of effects we can actually achieve on wood. Alright then, so I've got 3 pieces of pine prepared for the test. The first one, I'm just going to go with a nylon brush. I already loaded that up, and as I said before, that's 80 grit. And we'll see what type of results we can get on a pine. After that, we'll do the copper brush. Okay, we'll see what results we're going to get with that. The third test, that's going to be a combination of both of the brushes. So first of all, we're going to go hard with the copper, and then we're going to smooth it out with the nylon brush. I also have this large beam that's painted in black. Okay, so we're going to see how the third brush performs on that. That's the one with the sandpaper grit 80. After all the tests are done, I'm actually going to apply a bit of finish to them, so hopefully you'll see the results a little bit better, as the camera may not actually show them as good, but I'll try my best. And I just want to remind you to wear some PPE when operating this machinery, especially if you're using the wire brush, as the tiny pieces of the wire could be flying around, despite the fact that my particular machine actually does have this cover over that brush. But eye protection and a dust mask is definitely a must when using this kit. As you work with the tool, you need to go with the grain and don't put too much pressure on it, as the weight of the tool itself will do the job for you. You will get different results depending on the speed of the brush. That's why it's best to use a dedicated burnishing machine, as it will have RPM adjustment. However, you can get attachments for a normal angle grinder to allow the brushes to be installed, but make sure that you actually do have the ability to change the RPMs. Now this will be actually quite difficult to show you the results, but hopefully as I move my finger across it, you will see that the softer sapwood has been removed and the darker parts remain to the top. And now with the nylon brush, the finish itself is actually very, very smooth, and that's with grit 80. Hopefully, to show you this a little bit better, I'm going to put a straight edge on it, and then you can see the voids a little bit better, a little bit clearer. Absolutely fantastic result, especially the feel of it as you put your fingers across it. Absolutely brilliant. And the looks, it's so much better. You've got that really interesting age look. Now it's time for the copper brush. Now, as you've seen, the removal of the material in this case was far quicker and a lot more aggressive. And you can feel that to the touch. Definitely, it's a lot deeper. The grooves are a lot deeper and they are not as smooth as with the nylon brush. And I hope I can catch on the camera the brush marks, as you can see, especially in this area here. To be fair, it could be a feature as well. You know, it does give that additional nice look to the wood. However, it's definitely way too coarse to the touch, and you would have to sand this down just a little bit or within the grooves. That's why on the third option we're going to use this wire brush that we just did and the nylon brush to smooth everything out. So here you can see exactly how much material was removed, especially in this area here. Now these boards, they have been planed, they have been flat, so you can just see the extent of material removal by this machine. So hopefully you can see the clear difference between this wire, the copper wire brush, and this nylon brush. Okay, much softer finish. Hopefully the camera can actually catch this and you can see it a lot better. Let's check out the third option. First of all, the copper brush. After that, we'll clean it out with the nylon brush. Nice and deep. However, you can see the marks from the brush itself on the sapwood just over here. Okay. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better. And now we'll do the nylon brush and see what results we'll get. Well, tell you what, the results are super interesting. Everything's nice and smooth to the touch. However, the grooves are much, much deeper. It looks absolutely stunning. Let me just grab a straight edge. Hopefully you can see the shadow line on this. Look at that. Look at those little mountains there. Absolutely fantastic, stunning result. I have to say, combining both of the brushes together, well, it gives really interesting effects. And there you go, guys, some really interesting results over here. And you know, the finish I'm getting is absolutely fantastic. Exactly what I wanted for my project. Okay, so it all depends what you want. If you do want to have a nice and smooth surface with just a tiny amount of the featured wood, then a nylon brush will do you just fine. However, if you want to have a deep, super deep texture like this, then definitely a wire brush. If you want to have a combination of both, well, tell you what, the results are absolutely stunning. I'm going to try to make some photos as well so you can see it a little bit better with shadow lines. But absolutely amazing finish. Now, before I'm actually going to start applying some finishes on these pieces so we can see the quality, the end result a little bit better, let's try out the final brush. Well, tell you what, that's done a really decent job here. Nice and smooth and absolutely in a few seconds as well. Brilliant performance. So if you need to remove a lot of finish from something and do it quickly and to a very high standard, then that sanding brush could be it. When you sort out your timber or your project with either of the brushes, you still want to give them a light sand to make sure you've got a nice and smooth finish. However, You don't really want to use a sanding machine. You don't really want to use just a normal sandpaper, as you will remove the features that you just added with the burnishing machine. Therefore, for sanding, I would recommend those spongy type sanding blocks or sandpaper that's cushioned just like this. Okay, it will make sure that it will go between those lines and all those features and actually not remove the top layer entirely. So for sanding, you would need something similar to these. Now it's time to apply a bit of finish to see if we can pop that grain even more. The first board I'm doing was done with the nylon brush, and the finish that I'm applying is just clear matte varnish. Next is the board that has been done with the copper brush. And finally, it's the board with copper and nylon brush. Tell you what, let's have a look how wood stain would actually look on these pieces as well. I'm using rustical oak. Let's have a look. That's the nylon brush. Let's check out the copper brush. Oh, so much deeper. And finally the piece where we used both brushes. Alright, let's check out the results from a bit up close. Hopefully you'll be able to see this on the camera. Absolutely fantastic features. This is with just the nylon brush. Absolutely brilliant. Really nice and smooth finish as well. This is the copper finish. As you can see, it's very, very deep in some places, and obviously there's a lot of material being removed, hence, you know, it's a lot darker, as the sapwood will take the color a lot easier. There you go, and the final result, which is the copper and nylon, I think this is my favorite, to be absolutely honest with you. Really nice texture to it, and it's nice and smooth as well. And look at that, that looks absolutely brilliant. Obviously, you know, the results will depend on the grain of your boards, okay? So not every single piece will look amazing. Some will look better than others. And there you go, guys, quite interesting results there. Depending which brush you're going to use, or maybe both of them together, you can get different outcomes and different looks of your timber. And that's one of the things you need to consider. I would do some test runs first to see what you can actually achieve with the timber you have, as the results will be varied depending on the timber. For example, hardwoods, different types of hardwoods, some of them will be more porous than others. It all depends, right? So before you actually jump into the project, run some test pieces to see what you can actually achieve and what you want in the end. And again, to be fair, with the nylon brushes, I would definitely buy at least two more, at least have three. And that's what I'm going to do. When I get some more funds, I'm going to get the 120 grit and the 200 grit as well. Having all three will make sure that I'm future-proofed for any potential projects. However, this is not the end for this topic. It's actually just a beginning, as there's so much more to cover in future videos. For example, you know, the Japanese style of burning wood. Well, that tool is absolutely perfect to get some extra fantastic features from the wood when you're going to be using that technique as well. So yeah, that's all in the future content. But also with this tool, what you can do is to apply multiple layers of different colors of wood stain, for example, and then as you remove slightly with the machine the layers, you can have some fantastic rainbow effects on your timber for some really unique pieces. Again, I'll be covering that in the future video. So if you want to find out a little bit more about all this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and definitely drop a like on this video so you won't miss any of my future content. However, before you go, please check out these two really cool playlists. There's loads of fantastic videos there already waiting for you. Click on those and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. For today, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.